Hey, what's up, guys? This is xBenJamminx from dailyrotosharks.com, and I wanted to provide you with a nice little walkthrough guide tutorial of the cheat sheets that is much shorter than the 2-hour in-depth one that we did. So I'm going to be talking to you about what the sheet is and a little bit of how to run through it. So the first thing I want you guys to check out is the sheet info tab, the very first one. So this is going to show you some of the stats that we value highly and take into account a lot. And then it'll also show you for these different stats what's a good range that you should be looking for. So, if you're looking for a hitter, if you see that he's a 290 WOBA, it's not as good, of course, as if you had the elite rating. So these are different things you can look at. And then you have the total matchup. So if you have a total matchup that's awful, you may want to stay away. Same thing with elite. So we'll get into that. This will show you what the columns mean and what they stand for. And then once you move on, you could check out the batter results from the previous day. So what we like to do is sort by total matchup and look at ratings, and sort by ratings and look at total matchups. Okay, so if you get it and you sort by rating and just scroll over, so this would be sorted by rating. These are the results from yesterday. It was a pretty good day. So if you wanted to go in and sort by total matchup, you can do that. So what we like to tell people is the matchup itself is based on the data of the batter and the pitcher, right? So this will be their individual matchups. Now, the hard contact, what this is doing is telling you if a player has been hitting the ball well, seeing the ball well, and making good contact. So that's what this column is. So what we do is we look at the total matchup, and that will tell us the matchup for the batter and the pitcher by their handedness, lefty versus righty, righty versus lefty, righty versus righty, and stuff like that. And then the hard contact will tell us if a player has been hitting well, seeing the ball well, maybe not swinging and missing at it. So that's what this does. And then the rating takes both of them into account, and it gives you the people who have the best individual matchups and who have been hitting the ball well. So if you look yesterday, we had just going by position, and I'm going to show you guys how to sort and filter the slate. But just going by position, you click catcher. Here, let's see. Click catcher by rating. You get 3-0, 18, 34, 12, 12. You go by first base, you get 6, 30, 21, 25. Second base, 6, 9, 9, 25. Third, 3, 44, 12, 43. Shortstop, 21, 6, 3, 9. What is it? Catchers, 3-0, 18, 34. Outfield, Brett Eibner, I'm not sure if he played or not, but you got 0-73, 0-60, 44, 0-37, 24. Now, to sort by slate, what you would do, and this is for slicers only, and then I'll get into if you don't have the slicers. So what you would do is, what I like to do is I go to a lineups page like a rotogrinders.com or something, or just go on FanDuel or DraftKings, and it'll show you the slate that you're looking for. So if you want to sort them out, what you'll do is look at you left click on the first team that you're looking at. So let's say you go to Arizona, you'll left click there, and now this will show you the players for Arizona. Now, if you wanted to, you would hit control, and now this is how you'll get other teams in. So you hold control, and then you just left click on the other teams. Now, you keep doing that, and you hold control, and as soon as you let go of control, it's going to show you the slate that you just chose and all the players. Then you would just go by position and look at all the different people. Okay, so going from here, Let's go back. Let's get rid of that. So that's how you would sort. So that's looking at the batter results. This is the pitcher results. It's the same thing. So I'm not going to spend too much time on results. So now the matchups, and this is for today. So this is just getting into it. Hold on, let me turn these off. Okay, so going into this, you're looking at it. You would go in and let's say you wanted to sort by slate. You click on the team, the first team, hold control, then just click on the rest of them, right? Let go. So now you have your slate. Now, if you don't have the slicers, it's just as easy. You're just not clicking on buttons. You're clicking on the column. So let me just show you how to do that. Okay. So let's say you wanted to sort the team or by position. This is if you don't have these slicers up here. So anyone who doesn't have the newest Excel, you won't have these. You just click on like team, the button right here. This is where you'll be doing your sorting and your filtering. So if you want to sort by highest to lowest, when you have numbers, you go Z to A, that's highest to lowest. A to Z is lowest to highest. But if you wanted to sort out the teams, you would just click select all, and then you could go in and then just select the teams you want. If you wanted to type them in, you could do that as well. And then you just hit add, and then like that. So just showing you guys how to sort and filter. Now, all right, so actually let me just do it. So you would go here, Boston, these guys, whatever. Click OK, and then it filters them out for you. Now you would do the same with position if you wanted to do that. So we just started implementing the slicers. Before that, we all did it like this. You would just deselect that, click catcher. Now you have the catchers for this particular slate. So that's how you would do that. So looking at these, you have your hitter WOBA by handedness, your starting pitcher WOBA by handedness. These are matchups based on, we have yearly data, we have 30-day data, we have 14-day data, and then we have the total matchups of those. Then we have the same thing with the ISOs, which is power. And once again, if you don't know the WOBA and ISO, we have it on the sheet info page up here that could show you the actual formulas. Then we have the total matchup like I was showing you. So this is the players with the best just overall matchups for the batters and the pitchers. And then, you have the hard contact ratings to show you who's been seeing and hitting the ball the best. So you could sort by matchup, you could sort by rating and compare with each other. Like you sort by rating, this guy, Andy Burns, I guess we don't have any plate appearances for him, but I guess whatever data is there for him, he's done very well in just hitting and seeing the ball. So he may have come in for like a pinch hit and got a home run or something. So the matchup isn't good. He doesn't really have any plate appearances. He's $2,000. That's someone I won't say avoid, because you want to make sure he's in the lineup, and if he is, then that could be a GPP salary reliever for you. But most of the time, someone like that won't even be playing. So I'll just bat him out and then start from here. So if you have a guy that's 2,000, he has numbers that are much better than everyone else, and you can't see why. That's someone that I personally would usually avoid. So when looking at this, you have your total matchups and your players who have been hitting the ball well. So Marte, Ortiz, Trout, Gillespie is always usually up there for us. I think because of his high contact rating. So whatever reason that is, but I think he does pretty decently. So these are the total matchups based on the batter and the pitcher by righty versus righty, lefty versus righty. This takes into account the batter's splits. So if someone is good versus righties, then they'll be up higher for us. If someone has a good lefty versus righty matchup, stuff like that. So moving on, what you can do if you have the buttons, you could click on these to get you to each page. So we have the today pitcher matchup. So it's the same thing. We have everything by handedness. So when you have a right-handed pitcher, this is the opponent. So the team that he's facing, this is their lefties and their righties while facing a right-handed pitcher and their projected lineup. So these numbers actually all change when you see the starting lineups come out. So you have the WOBA, the ISO, the matchups. You have the contact of the opposing team along with their K percentage and how hard they've been hitting the ball. You have the starting pitcher numbers for the contact, K percentage and hard versus the opposing handedness. So if a team, has a bunch of lefties, a bunch of righties, it's factoring that in. And then we have our ratings. So what we're really trying to portray here is we have our good rating. We sort that from largest to smallest, or from Z to A, whatever. And what we see here is these are the good matchups for the pitchers against the opposing team's projected lineup, just in general based on their lefties and righties and how they do versus right-handers. So what we try to do here is we have a rating to show you what our data suggests is good for the pitchers. We have a rating to show you what our data suggests is good for the batters. So if you're sorting this by largest to smallest, that's usually good to pick on, for a stack. So if you want to look for teams to stack, that's usually a good general way that we like to figure things out. So if you have a pitcher who has very high bad, that's not going to be good in general terms of you picking on that guy, because you also have the chance that he can get blown up. And like we like to say, there's a lot of variance. So don't expect this to be 100% every day, but it's been pretty accurate for us up to this point. So we like to sort by good and then check out the bad. So what we'll do is we'll see, we'll like sort by good and then check to see what the higher ratings are, and that'll really give us some good indications. Also, park factors and Vegas lines are not included in this. So you sort by the good, you check out some of the higher ratings. If you see that the player also has a high bad, usually I'll try to avoid that and then look at the other options. So you could sort by good, and then what we do is we have a rating, so that shows you the difference between the good and the bad, really. So if you have someone with a really good and a really good in terms of the pitcher would be lower. So if you're looking at the lower the better for the pitcher, but the higher the better for a batter. So if you want to sort it by bad, that's looking for batters. If you want to sort this by lowest, that's looking for pitchers. So you could sort the bad by lowest to also find decent pitching matchups. So, you can sort this by the lowest and see who has the highest ratings. You see our sheets like Lester and Scherzer today. So you also have Nick Martinez. He's facing the Cardinals, who may be cold, but it looks like he may not have the best matchup in general. So we like to look at the higher the good, the lower the bad for pitching, and then the higher the bad for hitting. We don't really sort the good by lowest. I guess you can, and then look at what the highest bad is when you're looking at batters. So that's another way to do that as well. So that's what we do. Sort this by good for pitching. You sort this by lowest for pitching. You sort this by highest for hitters. You sort this by lowest for hitters. And so we like to use the ratings in general. You could sort by highest rating to find, who has the biggest difference between the good and the bad, which is what we like to do. Or you can just sort these in general and compare with the others. So we also take all of these into account as well. If you're new to MLB and you don't really understand it, that's fine. You can use just these. So you can scroll over and really just kind of mess around with these, sorting by good and bad. You can filter out. So if you wanted to, let's say, not look at anyone who had bad ratings, you could just click out all of the negatives if you wanted to. And that's a good way of looking for only the better pitchers. That's just sorting them out, filtering them out. So moving on real quick, I'm trying to just breeze through this. We have batter versus pitcher tab, BVP. This will show you how, good BVP some people have. Chris Davis has very good BVP today versus Sanchez. Then you also have the bad BVP here as well. So you could sort and filter all of these. And then one thing that I'm really, really proud of is the lineup builder. So I wanted to spend the most time on this. So hopefully you understand the sheets by now, just breezing through them. And now I'm just going to finish off with lineup builder. So this is what I've done some videos on before and the way I like to do things. You could use these as a batter comparison tool. So you can just type in different players that you're looking at. The position doesn't matter. So you could just compare these two, come over here and look and see, obviously green is better. So you could see like in this particular matchup, not even thinking about price, Grandal would probably be better than Ramos. Only slightly better, but when you're factoring in the price as well, I would like to use him. So that you could use that as just a player comparison tool, or you can use it to build your lineups, and that's the way that I like to do it. So I'll go into starting pitcher matchups, and let's just say the first 6 teams are our slate today. Actually, the first 8, because that's usually my max that I'll do. I usually don't ever play the main. I play small slates. That's just how I've always done it and how I've always been very profitable. So let's just use the first 6 as our filters. Go in today matchup. So you could either sort by good, which a lot of times I'll do on the small slates, or sort by largest to smallest, and you can just put in the top 5 guys. So that's what I'll usually do. So if I see that, like right here, you have Aaron Blair and Greinke, they're both kind of the same, and if you sort by this, if Greinke would have boosted up big time, that I would consider him. But right now, for whatever reason, our things are showing that Philly, they've just been hitting pretty hot lately. He hasn't been striking people out at a high clip that he's used to. So for me, the price tag probably wouldn't be worth it. I would look at the 2 other guys. So sorting by rating, I would just come here and you can just copy. So Control C or right click copy, come over to the lineup builder, and then you can paste by value. I have to stress this. It will not work if you don't paste by value. Just because we have tons of formulas set up, you have to paste by value. Okay, so once you paste this by value, it will fill in all of the different relevant stats that you saw on the actual pitchers tab. Okay, so it fills all this in for you. So then you can compare all of them together. Then if you scroll over, it also shows you their stats for the last 2 seasons. So you can kind of see maybe if they're over pitching or under pitching based on what their stats were over the last 2 years. That's good to look at. Looks like these guys don't have significant data over 2 years, so it's not pulling in and registering. So that's the first thing I do is I'll go there and I'll look at my different pitchers and I'll decide kind of who I'm thinking I want to use. So what you do is once you type those in, you look at all right, if I use these guys, this is how much money I have left to spend on batters. Okay, so now we go in here, and what you can do, and I don't recommend doing this as your particular strategy, but this is how I start my lineup building. Okay, so I don't just always leave in the number 1s, but this is how I start my day. I put in all the pitchers here, right? All the guys, the top 5. I have it set up because I think 5 is a good pool to choose from. Then I'll go to today's batter matchups and just go position by position. Now, it's very important to make sure that the players that you're using are playing. So before the lineups come out right now, this is just the way I'm going to do it. So out of these, this isn't a particular correct slate, but out of this slate, I'd look, I see rating. He's number 1 overall by far. I'll sort it by matchup and see he's still number 1. So lock him in. So I have Chris Herman, go to the lineup builder. I copied him, and now I'm going to paste by value. All of his data shows up. Now go back to the batter tab. Number 1, sort by rating, I'll see that Ortiz is number 1 here. Sort by matchup, Ortiz is number 1 here. Okay, so actually, let me just go back and show you guys what I do. So I sort by the rating, and then I sort by, so I'll put like the top 2, and then I'll come up here and just assign them like a color or something like that. And so these are people I'm considering. Then I'll go to total matchup and do the same for, so the next like guy or something like that. So actually, here, let me do these different colors. So these are guys I'm considering. Guys that I've seen are why is that? Oh, neutral. Yeah. So guys that are at the top of the rating and top of the matchup. Then I'll go to first base. I'll do the same thing. So top couple guys. Let's go with 2 for now, and then I'll sort by matchup, and then I'll put the next guy in. It looks like Santana was in for both of those, so I'll add him as well. So these are just people that I'll be considering, but I usually only do 2. So let me just get Santana out of there for now. So the top 2 for the matchup and the rating. And those are players that I'll be considering for the day, okay? Now, Chris Davis moves down a bit when you sort by rating, so that would tell me that he hasn't been hitting the ball as well lately as some of the other guys, but he does have a good matchup. So I'll go Ortiz because he's number 1 in both. Boom, put him in. Then I'll go to second base. Sort by rating, and we have Zobrist. Sort by matchup, and we have Zobrist and Kipnis, so both of them. So they'll be my top 2 guys. And then maybe I'll consider Scoop if I want to pay down. So that'll be a price tier kind of thing. But it looks like both of these guys are similar range. So if I was using Zobrist and I wanted to move somewhere, I'd probably just go pay up for Kipnis or vice versa, only $100. So now I'll take Zobrist because he's the top of both and paste him in. Then we have the today's batter matchup. Sort by, okay, it's sorted by matchup right now. So I'll go top 2, neutral, and then I'll go rating, same top 2. So I think we have Chris Bryant was number 1 matchup, but Jake Lamb has a much better rating. So I'll go Jake Lamb, but we're still going to consider him Bryant. So I usually do only like 3 lineups per slate, like usually max. So that's why I have a couple people that I consider per position. And what I do is I'll usually make one with as many number 1s I could find, and then I'll also put in the number 2. So I'll mix and match all those guys, and that's what makes me pretty successful. So if I don't get that first batter, then I usually will get the second or third, and it's usually very profitable. So the way that I play GPPs is, these low on guys, if I have them in 2 of my 3 lineups or something, and one of them goes off big time, like we saw last night with Saunders, Gutierrez, O'Brien, and Tomas for our outfield. That's a very, very successful way to use them. If you're using just putting in only number 1 guys every single time, that's going to be very, very tough. So like right here, we sort by rating, and we're getting a lot of cheap guys in our outfield now. This is a slate that, I mean, this isn't an actual slate, so who knows what's happening. But so these will be some nice value plays to look at. So let me highlight them. Then now I'm going to sort by matchup. For outfielders, you'll use what I've found is I think you have a pretty decent shot of having good success sorting by matchup and comparing with the rating. For whatever reason, I'm not really sure, but in a lot of the other ones, the rating's been the most dominant. In outfielders, I think matchups have been pretty good in general for whatever reason. But yeah, so we have all these cheap guys, and then we have a next tier. So I'll mix and match with these. But for now, let's sort by rating, and I'll throw in these top 3 guys. We may need some salary relief anyway if we're going with any of these pitchers. So let's go to shortstop, sort by rating, and we get Bogarts, Machado. And then I'll also put in Baez just because if you see there's an obvious drop in price. So I always like to have that other guy. Let's go total matchup, and we get the same Machado, Baez, and Anderson. Anderson. I don't know if I'm gonna use him, but I've seen him doing pretty well lately. Not sure. I guess he's been doing decent versus righties. So that's what this will show. If he's high, and it's righty versus righty, he's been hitting well versus righties. So we have these three. We have Machado and I believe Bogarts at the top. Bogarts, but Machado, they're basically the same rating, but Machado has a better matchup, so he's going to be my number one pace by value. All right, so I'm going to here. Let's see. So now, what you can do if you want to use the lineup builder, you can look at the ratings and see. All right, if I change this guy, how would it affect? Like if I put in Jackie Bradley over Tyler Naquin, how would these numbers over here change? So if you look, they change a little bit. So the rating goes down a little bit. The ISOs and the WOBAs change. So what you can do is kind of monitor these averages and numbers when you're changing and messing with your lineups and see, if you want a high power team, you want to make the ISOs matchups as high as possible and stuff like that. So that's a way to look at it. Looking here, when you're putting in your guys for your lineup, you have 9100 left over. Now, if you wanted to use any of these pitchers, what it's telling you is here. I have 9100 left over. I would need to sacrifice. I would need to make up 2300 to use Lester. I would need to make up 1200 to use Salazar. I would have 800 left over with Porcello, and I would have this much left over with Aaron Blair. So that's how you would read these. If you wanted to, go down on Ortiz, and I don't even know if he's playing, but I know he's cheap. Just put in Tommy Joseph. That would be able to use Salazar with $100 left. So that's a way to use this. So that's just a quick run through I wanted to give you guys. I hope it really worked out for you. I hope you guys are winning money. Let me just show you something real quick. So here, let me make sure you can see this. Entire screen. Okay, so we've had a bunch of people hit us up the last couple of days with tons of success. So some of these guys are just putting up their scores they would have never put up in their lives. People who don't even play MLB really, but they're just starting to play. So you could just see these reviews. This guy put up a 316 last night, which is pretty insane. He had all of our top outfielders, got home runs from basically everybody. Saunders, O'Brien, Gutierrez were some of our top guys. If you look here, batter results, go by outfielder. You see we have Sanders, Gutierrez, O'Brien, Tomas, all right there, and all these guys. He had 3 home runs. He had 2 home runs and a bases clearing triple. He had 2 home runs, and he had 2 home runs. I'm not sure how Trout and Dickerson both got 0. So even if you just mixed in these guys, you would have gotten 4, 5, 6 home runs. So it was a really good night for everybody last night. A lot of people who never really played MLB are doing very well. So it's really, really cool stuff to see all these people who are winning a lot of money because of using the sheets. So we're having a lot of success with them. We're hoping everyone else is. And if you don't know already, they are at dailyrotosharks.com /MLB cheat sheet. You could look at, I'll have this tutorial posted up there along with the other one. This is, you can see the additions we've put in. We're making a couple of tweaks now. We're also changing some of the ratings to account for the the DraftKings scoring, so you could see things here, how to look at them, the tutorial, and then you go to click purchase seats. It brings you to membership plans, and then this is where you can get them. So you would just click on either FanDuel or DraftKings, depending on which site you want. Then you click on if you want 1 day, weekly, monthly, or season. And then you would go into your member dashboard. As soon as you finish, you go to FanDuel Access or DraftKings Access. And then this is going to just bring you to the page of whatever site you chose. You click on the link, and there you go. You got that for the day. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it works out. Take care. Win some money.